Oh, what up, guys? Hopefully you can see this and all the audio's working. Shooting another more informative video, is what I would call it. So a little early in the day yet, but the fish are still biting. It's really warm today. It's been cold lately. There's some nights down where it got into the 30, high 30s, 37. Days of like 45, 50, but it happens to be 85 today. And the bite's been pretty good lately, and hopefully it, Jesus, we're on some waves here. My camera's having technical difficulties. Okay. So we've been on a decent minnow bite here the last few days. About the last week, I would say, actually. But I'm going to talk a little bit about my Lindy rig setup. Now, most people just think you just drop a Lindy rig down, you catch fish, right? Wrong. Not totally wrong. But there's actually a lot that goes into, a lot of thought, I should say, that goes into the process of catching walleyes, to me, on a Lindy rig, okay? I'll talk about a few of them here real quick. Pull up my little bag here of tricks. little PC fun backpack here. Believe it or not, everybody wonders like what my guide bag looks like when I'm guiding. It looks like this. Literally, it's got just a box in it with tungsten and swivels and hooks and jigs, and I got some plastics in here too. But anyway, so we're gonna start with the rod. I like a long rod. Once again, 7'6", medium light, extra fast action, nice long rod. It's very similar to a slip bobber rod, in my opinion. Nice long rod with kind of a soft tip, so you can feel that bite, and you can let that rod tip load up while the fish does not realize it when they set that hook. Anyway, I'm going to get into, so I have 20-pound Suffix 832 on here. I don't care what you run for braid. Run as thick as you want, whatever. The most important part to me is what comes after the braid, okay? So we got braid on here. Then right here, you guys, on like really clear lakes like this one that I'm on right now, I have 8-pound Seagar yellow label fluoro right there. So that I only have like 4 or 5 feet. Sometimes I'll run 10 feet, once it breaks off and gets about a foot away from the sinker, then I will cut the line and I'll retie. That is an Alberto knot right there, braid to fluoro, but I'll run 8-pound Seagar, then usually a 3/16 ounce tungsten here, or heavier depending on what water you're in. If you're out here rigging for walleyes, when I say like rigging, if you got the trolling motor down and you're creeping around, you're going to want a little bit heavier tungsten to keep that weight down by the bottom. I generally do not. I usually cast the tungsten, and I do not want the tungsten shooting into a school of walleyes, freaking them out. I like a slower fall down there. So anyway, yep, whatever. I got probably 4 or 5 feet of 8-pound Seagar here, 3/16 ounce worm weight, a bead, a swivel, and then I probably have 2.5 feet of 8-pound Seagar again right here, to depending on the hook. Like this is a #1 finesse wide gap Gamakatsu. I was going for some bigger fish the other day with this, but I'm going to switch this down to like so this is my theory on this, okay? When the walleye is really finicky, you want your bait to look as natural as possible, right? And this is my thought process on it. Just what I'm sharing with my opinion. Some people might say it doesn't matter, but I'm just telling you what my beliefs are. So if walleyes are kind of picky, and you're seeing them down there, and they're chasing your minnow around, and they really aren't committing to it, I have a thought process, and it's worked for me. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. A lot of people will be using 12, 14, 16-pound fluorocarbon, on a bigger, they see my hook and they're like, wow, why do you run such a small hook? To me, that's like, from when I'm walleye fishing, that's about as big as I like to go. But I think of it this way: if you have a small red tail or a sucker or something down there, that's 3 inches long, and that minnow is swimming around trying to get eaten by the walleyes. Well, think of it this way. Think of a large, heavy hook and the tip of that minnow swimming around. Now, if you add 14 or 16 pound fluorocarbon on that, that would be like putting a giant rope around my waist, you know, with a couple dumbbells around my neck and have me walk around. Do you think it's easier for me to walk around with a, you know, a small string around my waist, you know, and maybe a, you know, one small dumbbell in my hand? I think of it as the walleyes like that. The walleyes are going to be swinging or swimming around with a big, heavy line. And then I think the most important part is the hook, because a heavier hook in the minnow's face is going to want them to go to the bottom more. You know, if they're swimming around for 3 or 4 minutes, you know, and you're casting Lindy around or just below the boat, you know, the weight of that hook is going to want to pull that minnow down. So lighter line, so they're more agile, can swim around more naturally. Lighter hook, so they can also swim around more naturally. Now, a few days ago, I was running 10 or 12 pound seagar. I had 12, and I was not getting them to bite. I literally switched to 8 pound seagar and a smaller hook, and I picked up 5 fish within a matter of, you know, 35 minutes. So now I've switched to, you know, like I said, more of a finesse style rig. And don't get me wrong, this is early in the fall. Leaves are just starting to change around here. It's September, I don't know, 15th, 16th, somewhere around there, I believe. Now, I know more in the fall when the walleyes get way more aggressive. They care less about this factor right here, okay? But me personally, I will run a lighter line, like 8 pound test, you know, and a smaller hook to get more bites on fish. And my hook percentage is still really good. It's not like I'm running a size 8 hook, you know. It's usually like a size 4. So anyway, that is my setup. And then the next thing is going to be setting the hook into the fish. And I just shot a slip bobber walleye video, kind of almost mirroring that hook set effect. But anyway, like I said, I like a finesse wide gap hook, 8 pound fluoro, and then 8 pound fluoro leader to the braid. I actually have 8 and 10 pound in my bag. I do like using 10 pound when I can get away with it, and we will here in another couple weeks or so. But for now, that's my setup. And now we're going to get into trying to catch a walleye. All right, you guys. So there's a point here. It drops off on all sides, like 24 feet of water. A lot of mud out here, okay? Now, this time of year, the walleyes are starting to come up, you know, work their way up shallow. Lots of perch that are 2.5, 3 inches long out in this mud. And they're biting anything that comes by, pretty much. So, and I will add that there's a lot of nice smallmouth in this lake, so I do not doubt that we're going to hook into 1 or 2 of those as well, which is, to me, is a bonus. You know, after the first like 8 or 9, though, it gets tiring if you're trying to just target walleyes anyway. All right, I got a smaller red tail here. Now, I'm going to start out by hooking these red tails, or minnows. I got some creek chubs and some suckers too, underneath the jaw and up through the nose, just like that. See that? Bam. And now I'm going to, I'm scanning this structure here for fish, and I'm seeing some around here. I'm just going to locate kind of where the fish are at. I'm going to cast it out there, and we'll let it sit there for like 20 or 30 seconds. Oh, all right, we got a bite. So I cast it out there, bunch of fish out there, let it just sit on the bottom. Got picked up almost immediately, okay? And by the way, I cast it on the back side of this brake line. So now, see the fish running? Load it up, set the hook. Super important, you guys. Gotta let that rod load up when you set that hook. Once again, does you no good to set the hook. This feels like a good walleye. Does you no good to set the hook if you got a bunch of slack laying out there. I was looking for supper, but this might not be supper material. There's a nice walleye. This might be supper material. He's under 20 inches. But he looks like he's probably 9. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a good. This is about the best sized under you could get. Got that on the small red tail right there. Yeah, you guys. Hook just inside the mouth. There we go. That's going to be probably 18 and a half. 19 right on the nose. If you're talking undersized fish, that's fish you guys want right there. All right, that's just the first fish. Hopefully we'll catch some more here. But like I said, finding fish with some sort of forward-facing sonar and spot locking, moving around and pitching on them is very effective, especially this time of year. So that's one walleye down. I'm going to show you another way to hook these minnows that also triggers bites. All right, got another minnow here. Instead of hooking it under the jaw, I'm hooking it by the very tip of the tail. See that? Once again, this is even more effective when you need to trigger a bite, because now you cast out, that weight goes to the bottom, and that minnow you have is sitting 3 or 4 feet above the bottom, swimming around because it's hooked by the tail. Limited like that, it gets them walleyes fired up. Oh gosh, a smallie just grabbed this, you guys. I'm like 2 feet below the water, and a smallmouth bass just grabbed this. My minnow. There we go. No fight to that fish, I guess. He didn't get a chance. Well, that was wild. Literally just sitting below the water here. Just sitting below the water here. This smallmouth bass came up and grabbed this minnow. A little skinny. They're usually not skinny out of this lake. Don't see nothing stuck in his mouth, but a nice smallie. Now we need another walleye. There you go, bud. Ooh, dude. You guys probably didn't see that, but I tightened the line up. I could feel that minnow just go. All of a sudden, fish crushed it, and it is running like crazy right now. Guarantee it's a walleye. So the line is going off the reel. Tail hooked. Once again, I'm going to let the rod load up. Flexing, loading, hook set. There we go. Loading up on that rod, you guys. That was like a textbook walleye bite, you guys. Tight lining these minnows. When they hit it like a ton of bricks usually. This would be another eater. My eaters are like, depending on the day, usually 15 inches, 14 inches and up. And this one, I don't know, this one might be an eater. Like I said, 14 inches, you guys, 15 inches. Actually, that's not a bad fish at all. That's probably right at 14 and a half, maybe. Oh yeah, 14 3/4. That fish is going in the box because I will eat that fish. You know why? Because there's 50 million of these, the bigger ones. All right, there we go. Tail hooked minnow. Right on the brake line. Like I said, classic, just dragging this minnow right here up the brake line and got hammed. All right, minnow or walleye number 2 in the boat. It's clouding over. Hopefully the fish are biting soon. It's just after 6 o'clock. This is usually the witching hour here, the next hour and a half or so. Oh, just changed my battery, guys, and I just noticed the line just coming off the rod like crazy. There, well, we got one. Ha! Ooh, that doesn't feel like supper material. It could be. I just heard the battery die, and luckily I decided to open my bail. Ooh, yeah, that's not going to be something we're going to eat. Yeah, battery died on the camera. And this happened the other night too. I opened my bail. I was doing something up front, and then I heard this ticking noise. I looked back, and the rod was sitting there ticking on the gunnel of the boat because the fish was running. So, good thing I gave it some line. This is, yeah. This is probably gonna be over 20 inches. Maybe not, but it just feels like it. No, that might be another 19 incher. No, that's not an eater. I mean, nah. Little too big for the thing, probably. I don't know. I probably could eat it. Maybe it's just a fat 19 and a half. It's a fat fish. Actually, it might be a fat like 19 and a half. All right, look at that. Another one fell for the tail hooked minnow, you guys. Here we go. Actually, let's see here. He's going to be 20 and a quarter, you guys. 20 and a quarter. Guess what? I'm expecting to catch a few more walleyes, so this 20 and a quarter is not going to be going in my live well. We're going to let him go. There he goes. All right, guys. Walleye number 3. I did miss a couple there. I missed one for sure. But anyway, got that one. Ooh. This fish is running. Look at it run. Running. We're gonna let him hang himself. She's loading. There we go. There's the eater. Out here on this mud, just pitching around. If I boat flip this guy. That's a good eater. Yeah, that's a beauty right there. That's, if I could have all of them probably this size, I would right there. Probably a 16 and a quarter. There we go. Sun going down. 16 and a half, you guys. Shablam. That thing crushed that minnow and absolutely took off on a tear. All right. 4 fish in the boat, 3 in the live well, 1 thrower backer. Sun's starting to dip towards those trees, trying to get another fish. Ooh. I think something just ate it. Yeah, it did. One just ate it. Look at it, he's running. 80 miles an hour. Line is going. Got him. There we go. You know what that is? That is not an eater size fish. Be cool to land on a giant though. Or end on a giant. It's a big fish, whatever. It could be a giant pike too. There's a big pike in this lake. That's a big fish. Look at that. I don't even know if he realizes he's hooked yet. Gosh, I'm guessing giant pike. Could be a walleye, but it's going to be a big one if it is. Mega donger sized. It's running like a giant pike. I see him. He's up there 65 feet. Come to Papa here, buddy. Yeah, it's a big northern. That's a big northern. That's a big northern. That is a huge northern, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, look at that pike. Oh, 32.5 inches long, you guys. Wow. I've actually seen walleyes come up to follow this thing. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Okay. So we see what Batty messed my lineup. Oh, I just jogged around and now I just got picked up by fish. So got him. Haha. Got him, you guys. Ooh. I don't know if it's an eater or not. It might be an eater. Oh yeah, it's an eater. It's an eater-sized walleye. Oh, it's another beauty. Probably right at that 19-inch range, you guys. There we go. Probably not even 19, probably 17 and a half. But hooking them, letting it kind of marinate on the bottom there. And they're coming up and eating it. What we got here? 18 and a half. Right there. There we go. Number 4 in the box. We'll take a couple more casts, I think. I'm gonna get picked up. Oh, I just did, didn't I? Yeah, there's a fish. Just picked it up. Pitched it, moved up here shallower now, right along this break line. Oh, this fish is hauling ace. The deep water. Got him. Got him. Oh, yeah, baby. Ooh. We'll see. This one doesn't quite feel like they're just stacked out on that break line right now, you guys. This is not going to be live well material. This is definitely not going to be live well material. Right? No, that's not live well material. There's another good one. That one might be 21. Oh, there's a nice one. Gosh, it's going to be right here. It might, I don't know. You know what? Let's see here. How big is this guy, you think? Yep, 21 incher, you guys. 21 incher going back. All right. All right, you guys. It is getting to be dark here. I got to get off the water. So, anyway, that's my explanation of how I like to rig for walleyes, how I like to finesse rig for them, downsizing line, downsizing hook, making sure to add fluorocarbon leaders in the clearer water. Definitely catches more fish. Once again, letting that rod load up when you set the hook, you know, versus having slack line in the water is definitely the way to go. Today, there's a point back here. We were casting around the edge of that point, and then out here in like 23, 24 feet of water, we're seeing some fish in the mud. I could still see some swimming around, and you'd cast, and you'd literally see one fish, and then 5 fish would come out of the bottom. I definitely missed some fish today too, you know, but hey, that's what happens. Like I said, Suffix 832, 20 pound, 8 foot tuned up custom rods, Apex Pro, medium light extra fast action is this particular rod. I have an old Fluger presidential reeler here that should probably be replaced, but I haven't. And yeah, you guys, that is the story. I am running some more guided walleye trips this year. The bites should just get better. Warmed up today, so I didn't catch as many as I normally do. It's gonna be warm up for a few days, and then it's gonna cool back down, so the bite will get better again. But anyway, social media is 330 MaNiaC Outdoors on Facebook, MaNiaC Guide Service, and 330 MaNiaC Fishing on Instagram. You can reach out at any of those platforms for rates and availability. I also do sunfish and crappies, panfish in the winter, or you can call or text me at 218-849-5310. So, thanks for watching, you guys. Peace.